Hey, what's up, everybody? So there's a lot of stuff going on right now with DC. Well, not a lot of stuff. It's just like one major big thing. First of all, I just want to share this photo of the first look that we have of Ruby Rose as Batwoman. As some of you might know, she is getting a series on the CW, a Batwoman series. So we have our first look at her as Batwoman. I think it's a cool photo. I think I like the costume. I like the way she looks. I think she looks like her. I mean, her hair, her suit, and everything. I think that CW's done a pretty decent job with their suits on their series, like the Flash, Arrow. Well, Arrow took a few seasons to get to a good suit, but the Flash has always had a pretty cool suit. Some of the changes they've made more recently, I'm not like a huge fan of, but they've done an overall pretty decent job in that department. So it'll be cool to have a female-led show now for the CW and a member of the Bat family, no less. So I think that'll make a lot of people happy, given that they do a pretty good job with the story and everything like that, with the writing. So the bigger topic that's going on right now, this hot topic, is the rumor of James Gunn in talks with Warner Brothers to write and possibly direct Suicide Squad 2, the sequel. I mean, I think Warner Brothers, every time we think that they're done surprising us with these ridiculous decisions, they prove us wrong. I mean, they've made a lot of mistakes since they started their cinematic universe with DC, but I don't know. I think this would be pretty bad, just in a different way than the previous mistakes of like doing reshoots and cutting films down and, you know, those kinds of things. This is more of like a ethical call, an ethical judgment on their part, in my opinion, just because, well, for some background, if you know, most of you guys who, I'm sure you guys know that James Gunn, the reason he was fired from Guardians of the Galaxy 3 was because of these old tweets that were, you know, making jokes about very sensitive subjects that people just don't usually feel comfortable joking about, or seeing jokes about, or hearing jokes about, you know. And so I think Disney / Marvel did the right thing in taking him off of Guardians of the Galaxy 3. Of course, that caused some controversy and stuff like that with the fan base and with the cast and everything. But I think, in my opinion, I think Disney / Marvel was right in doing that. Now, I think, with that being said, I think if Warner Brothers decides to hire him, I think they'd be making a mistake. I don't think that would look good for them. And I think it would just be another attempt at trying to make the DC Cinematic Universe like a Marvel. Like Marvel. I mean, in my opinion, that's what they did with Justice League. They hired Joss Whedon, who was known for doing the Avengers movies. They hired him, hoping to maybe tone down, you know, Justice League and, you know, pander to a larger audience, a general audience. And so, but the thing is, it's like, okay, let's say that James Gunn wasn't fired from Guardians of the Galaxy 3 at all. Let's say he wasn't fired, or he wasn't fired for the reason he was, or he just decided to quit or something like that. You know, let's say that. I still think that if Warner Brothers, if this rumor turns out to be true or whatever, I still think that Warner Brothers would still be trying to make the DC Cinematic Universe, DC Worlds, whatever. I still think they would be trying to make it more like Marvel if they decided to hire him, regardless of what he had to do or with why he was fired or whatever. Like, even if he wasn't fired for that reason, or, you know what I mean? I think it would still look that way. But like I said, because of the reason he was fired, this turns it more into an ethical thing that I think a lot of people, from what I've seen on Twitter today, would just not be okay with. They wouldn't want to support a movie that was written and directed by James Gunn. And like I said, even if these tweets of his, even if that wasn't an issue, even if that never happened, I don't think I would like a DC movie from him, just because, like, okay, the Guardians movies, they're okay for me, but they're just too, if you've seen any of my videos about them where I mention those movies, for me, they're too much of a borderline parody movie. They go into that territory that I'm personally not a fan of. And there's too many things in those movies, like, to me, the humor just goes too far. It ruins, there's some good humor that I legitimately, like, get a good laugh from, but there's moments where I wish there wasn't comedy or jokes in those movies. So, regardless of why he was fired from Marvel/Disney, I still think that I wouldn't want to see a DC movie from him, because I feel like we would get the same thing that we got with Guardians of the Galaxy. And they're not bad movies. It's just like I said, in my opinion, they have too much of that parody vibe, that parody feel. And I'm not a big fan of that. And I wouldn't want to see that with any DC movie. And I know a lot of people compare the Suicide Squad movie to, they kind of say like it's the Guardians of the Galaxy for the DC Cinematic Universe. And I don't know why people really say that. I mean, Guardians of the Galaxy, they're not villains. I guess that's just, I don't know, that's how people compare them. But, I mean, I don't know. I don't want this. I personally don't think it'd be a good choice. I don't think it'd be a good decision on WB's part. I think it would cause a lot of controversy. Like I said, BVS caused controversy on Man of Steel, but it caused, I don't know, I just think it was different. Like, it was their writing choices and their, it was different things that caused controversy for people. With this, it's just, like I said, it's a moral thing. It's a moral dilemma. Yeah, I don't think it's going to sit well with a lot of people if this comes to fruition. And then, since that story came out earlier in the day, there's been more things coming out, which I don't know if they're true or if they're just stories that are spawning off of this one. I did see something about the possibility that it could possibly be a whole new reboot, and it wouldn't be a sequel, and it would just be like a new cast, possibly, or just a whole new Suicide Squad movie that didn't have anything to do with the one that we already got. I think that would be even worse than just doing a sequel to the movie. What? Why? Like, I just don't think it would be a good decision. I think Warner Brothers needs to stop being so afraid. Stop trying so hard to be like Marvel. And I get it. It's one of those things where it's like, we need to do what they're doing because it's working for them. But that doesn't mean that you have to do the same thing. Like, why? I don't understand. Just because they got criticism for Man of Steel and BVS, but then at the same time there's so much support and love for Man of Steel and BVS, but they only seem to listen to the criticism. They don't listen to the things that people actually like about those movies and love about those movies, the fans. It's just like they only listen to the things that they think they need to change. Which a lot of those things, in my opinion, they didn't need to change, but that's just me. But that's just what bothers me. It's like, if you're going to take into consideration what critics are saying and what people who didn't like those movies are saying, why don't you listen to some of the things your fans have to say too? Why are you just turning a deaf ear and a blind eye to them and then only listening to what critics and people who don't like your movie, what they have to say? It's like they're just so afraid, oh, we have to please everybody. Oh, the general audience has to like our movies. They need to be spoon-fed. They can't, they need to laugh. They need to have jokes. We need to have humor. It can't be heavy. It can't be realistic. Like, I just don't understand that. Like, they're just so afraid. And I just think that if they hire him, it's like, okay, what they did with Justice League, hiring Joss Whedon or whatever to basically redo the movie, that backfired. I mean, cutting 30 minutes out of BVS backfired. And then if that wasn't enough, they basically reshot Justice League, most of it, took off Zack Snyder, brought in Joss Whedon. That backfired way worse. And now they're possibly, according to these rumors, thinking about hiring James Gunn. It's just like, why aren't they learning from these things that are backfiring for them? I don't get it. I just don't get it. It's like they're making these decisions based on the small possibility that, like, the general audience, they just want to pay attention more to them and just kind of like throw their fan base to the side. I don't get it. Like, I don't know. They wouldn't have a fan base like they do had it not been for Man of Steel, in my opinion. That was the first movie to kick off this cinematic universe. And yeah, there's people who don't like it, who got upset with Zack Snyder's portrayal of him and whatever. But they still gained a pretty large fan base. And then over time, as they've made these stupid mistakes that have turned into bigger and bigger mistakes, and they made similar mistakes with Suicide Squad. As they keep making these mistakes that continue to backfire on them, they're not learning from those mistakes. They're just, it's like they keep trying, okay, we'll just try again with this one. Oh, we'll just try again with this one. We'll try again with this one to satisfy the general audience and critics. And in the process, they're just ruining these movies that had the potential to be amazing. You know? And at least with BVS, it wasn't a reshoot issue. It was just things that they took out of the story to cut it down and take out some rated R stuff. But like I said in my last video, a lot of those things, even though there was only a couple minutes here, a scene there, it made a big difference for the overall movie, you know? So at least that wasn't a reshoot issue. With Justice League, it was a major reshoot problem. And they just completely ruined it. They didn't even consider all these trailer reactions and all these, you know, people tweeting about it and sharing how, oh my God, this looks so awesome. Oh my God, I can't wait. Oh my, you know, they didn't pay attention to any of that. They just paid attention to the things that critics and people complained about with Batman vs. Superman and try to distance themselves from that and try to make it more like a Marvel movie, in my opinion. And then now they're gonna try to do it again by hiring James Gunn. Like, I don't understand. I don't know what's going on with them, but I think if they continue to make decisions like this, they're slowly gonna lose their fan base, and their whole cinematic universe is just gonna crash and burn. And people are gonna be less and less excited for their movies. And I think they already are after what happened with Justice League. Yeah, we still have some of us that are super excited for Aquaman and, like, you know, Shazam, Wonder Woman 2. But, excuse me. And I personally wasn't a huge fan of Suicide Squad to begin with. But I still don't think James Gunn would be... No. If you're looking to... I think if they're looking to bring more people on board with their Suicide Squad movies, then this is probably not the best way to go about it. I don't know. I don't understand. I don't get it. I think they keep making it harder and harder for us fans to actually continue being a fan of their, yeah, we're gonna just hold on to these movies that we love, Man of Steel, BVS, we're gonna hold on to them, Wonder Woman, because we don't know what we're gonna get anymore. They better leave Aquaman alone. That's all I'm gonna say. Shazam I expect to be funny because of the source material and the character. Totally different situation. But, you know, regardless, don't market one thing and then give us something completely different in theaters. Don't do that again. You know, just leave it alone. But I don't know. Sorry I started rambling about it, but, you know, I'm sure you guys are seeing it all over your social media too. So let me know what you think about all that whole thing that's being talked about right now with James Gunn possibly coming on for Suicide Squad 2, and let me know what you guys think in the comments. Thanks guys for watching. See you next time.